What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of Eastern Current. We are excited to be here. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yes.
We've got a pretty sweet lineup tonight with our buddy Jason Dale. He's sitting right next to me. We're not going to show him to you yet, but we're going to talk all about redfish and kind of with a focus on sight fishing redfish. But yeah, we're stoked. We're gonna come at y'all every week, hopefully, with a new topic, and we're just excited to see where this goes. So. Just thank y'all for tuning in. We want to see where y'all from, so just go ahead and comment in the comment section. Where are you tuning in and watching the show from?
Yeah, so just city and state. Really.
Yeah, city
just
and
let
state.
Us know where you're watching
city and
from.
state. We want to see who is watching the show from the furthest away. So let us know in the comment section. And we would love if y'all just right now, this would help us out a lot, if you would just go share this on your Facebook, on your Instagram. Tell people we're live that they can come tune in and watch the show. And we're going to get going here in just a second. But, yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. We're excited. And I'm going to turn it over to Billy here.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining in. Travis Overman says, I'm from, and there's nothing there. Travis, I think you're from Wilmington. I think I actually hit you up on Facebook to buy a camera, maybe. I believe that was it. Was that your buddy, right?
Yeah, that's Travis. I was talking to him today. Hey, yeah. Travis, thanks again for today. You're the man.
So Landon Ray says Austin Parker's going down. We already have beef on this chat channel. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Oh, gosh.
Travis Overman
Landon,
says
calm it down.
Southport,
calm it down.
Wilmington. Billy is from Rockingham. Great name, by the way. Oh, your wife is on. She's from Ogden,
What's
North
up?
Carolina.
What's up, Hannah?
What is up? All right, Trish is joining us also from Wilmington. All of our Wilmington people super excited that you're on. Like Justin said, great broadcast, man. We have a champion in the house tonight.
A champion,
Literally
yes.
a champion. We brought him on to talk about sight fishing for redfish, but I really want to know one thing. How do you win big money? So that's going to be my question. Like, how do you dominate a redfish tournament? How do you win?
Because nobody fishes tournaments because they like fishing. It's all about the money.
It's all about winning. It's all about the money. Well, I don't know. I fished one tournament in my life. It was a kayak tournament. I didn't even get a weigh in a fish or anything.
Man, that is impressive.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty terrible. It was pretty terrible. So anyway, Justin, tell us before we get started, because we want to jump right in with Jason here in a few minutes. But tell us what's going on the water. I know I was out there on Saturday. You guys were out there as well. You were trolling for some Spanish and some king. We caught some Spanish and king with Alex Benson over at Golden Hour Guide Service. So
for sure,
cool.
For sure. Well, I'll start inshore. Inshore fishing. It's been good. Redfish bite is still pretty good. There's been some trout around, some good trout in the river. Flounder fishing's good. Definitely a lot of nice flounder near shore, as well as inshore. People are starting to catch some bigger fish inshore. When I was offshore, or when I was near shore the other day, I think we had some Spanish action. Didn't get into the kings too much. I think we're a little close in and maybe a little late. But guys are catching kings really well, Spanish really well. We did some jigging for flounder, caught some gray trout, some black sea bass. So the nearshore stuff is definitely there. Offshore, the wahoo, or not the wahoo, but the mahi fishing has been really, really good. Guys catching a lot of mahi and big gaffer mahi as well. And had some buddies get into the blackfin pretty good this past weekend. Released a sailfish. Caught, I think, 3 wahoo. So, yeah, everything seems to be pretty good. And we just need maybe a little bit more rain, get a little bit more bait up into the inshore waters to fire the inshore fishing off a little bit more. But other than that, not much to complain about.
That's awesome, man. Well, and obviously the Big Rock Tournament brought in just a monster.
Oh, yeah, the Big Rock Tournament. Forgot about that.
Oh, God, how could you forget about it? I've been following it on the app like all week, just like on pins and needles to see who's going to win it. I'm like one of those like big fish guys. Like I didn't really, I shouldn't admit this, but I didn't really pay attention to all the other stuff. I just paid attention to like that bigger fish.
Yeah, that was a monster.
Yeah, dude, 914 pounds.
Monster.
And I talked to a couple guys, talked to Luke Tippett and talked to a few other guys, and they said like that thing was so big that, kind of the report was it was hanging off the back of the boat and just kind of maybe ripped a couple 100 pounds off of it on the way back
I didn't hear that. That's impressive.
I can't remember what the date was, like maybe back in the 60s or something, or that somebody actually, caught like an 800 something pounds. So really just setting records over there. We got a lot of people watching from Raleigh. I'm just going to read some of these comments. Raleigh, I believe I saw your mom on here watching.
Hey, Mom. How's the flounder fishing going?
Her comment says, "Hey, Dad, this is Buzz." That's awesome.
All right.
I'm going to start saying that. This is so buzz.
This is buzz.
This broadcast is buzz. So speaking of tournaments, we got a few events coming up just here in town. We want to just promote those. I don't even know if these guys know we're promoting. I just saw that they were coming up here in town.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys have any events or anything coming up you want us to announce for you in the episodes or whatever, coming up episodes, just let us know. But we have the Captain Hook Backwater Bash that's coming up at June 22nd.
The Backwater Bash.
The Backwater Bash. Those guys are awesome, man. I used to do some work, or not work with them, but they used to advertise and do some stuff when I was doing some other stuff, and so really cool guys there. Hatteras Marine Club is putting on the Blue Marlin Release Tournament, June 23rd through 29th.
Awesome.
Pirates
awesome.
Cove Marina is also putting on a Pirates Cove Small Fry Tournament. Dude, I'm just welling on these tournaments.
Yeah,
today,
let's hear them.
On June 27th. And then last but not least, we got the Fisherman's Post Topsail Inshore Challenge. Going to be up at East Coast Sports June 28th through 29th. So
y'all don't even need to
always
worry
go
about
for
fishing that one because I think the guy we've got here is probably he's gonna win that one.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, let's before we get into it, but
should we go ahead and bring him on? Should we introduce?
No, let's just bring him
on.
Let's
Let's introduce
bring him
Jason.
on. What's up, Jason? Come on in here, man. I'm going to put you guys on camera.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Man, thank you for having us. Thank you for coming on. I know you're pretty popular these days, winning tournaments, and just sort of fit us into your schedule is awesome, man.
I win one tournament now. I'm a superstar. Is that
You're a superstar.
You're a superstar, man.
I just wanted to touch on your tournaments. So this weekend is the Eric Powell tournament out of Sneads Ferry. It's
okay.
Out of New River Marina. So I don't know if anyone knows who Eric Powell was, but great fisherman, just a great guy in general. Suffered from ALS, so that tournament's put on in memory of Eric, and also the money raised from that tournament will actually go to a local ALS foundation. So
oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know
that's
that.
awesome.
there. So anyone who's considering being on the water fishing this week, entry fees are extremely low for that one. So $150 to enter it, and then again, just due to the nature of the tournament, just be a good one to get into.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Thanks for bringing that up and joining that in. Before we get into the interview with you, I want to go ahead and announce our catch of the week. I'm going to bring up Judson and I. Okay, who is it? Oh, here we go. I'm going to just bring it up. I forget I got a slide. Here we go. Brent
Look at that.
Mayo, catch of the week. I don't know
B.
what he
Mayo.
caught it on.
2 studs.
B. Mayo, man. Yeah, look at that.
The studs.
Yeah, those are nice.
Some fat bellies right there.
Let me look at the background, see where he caught them, and I'll be out there this weekend.
Look at the paddle in that one, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful. So anyway, you have won the T-shirt that we were promoting, so congratulations. We'll be reaching out to you to get your shipping information, or if you want to meet up and we can hand it off to you, no big deal. So let's go ahead, Jason. Let's jump right in. I know you and Judd are going to be kind of talking about redfish. That's where both of you do really well. I think if, Judson, you would probably say, hey, that's where I'm key as far as fishing as well. I think you and I had that conversation earlier. So just to give you a little background about Jason, he is kind of a jack of all trades, if you will. Like just does a lot of tournament fishing, builds rods, has his charter boat business. Just does a lot of cool stuff. A big part of the community. Is honored to meet you. I heard your name in the fishing community, obviously a lot, but to make that connection. And I saw your truck. I have a thing for logos, so I always see it and like, oh man, I walked out and it's like, I've seen this all over town. So
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to meet you as well. And just thank both of you guys for having me over, to think enough about me to have me here tonight, just to be part of Eastern Current. So I'd say it's an honor.
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate
Same with
it.
us.
It's second episode, so we're
got
super
some faith in
stoked,
us.
man. Had some faith in us, coming on, trusting us with your
You
reputation.
must have not talked to Luke Donay about last week, so.
Yeah, Luke Donay. I think he lost business. No, I'm just kidding.
You guys are going to do well. I've got all the faith in the world in you.
Hey,
Well,
man,
thanks, man.
After seeing your layout tonight and kind of where you are and hearing the background and how everything's transpiring,
Yeah, man.
I think you guys got no direction to go except for up.
Right
we appreciate
on.
that. Yeah, we appreciate that. So we just been working hard, especially on the second episode. So it's good to have a champion in the house. I'm just going to keep saying that. It is buzz. To have a champion in the house is very
It
buzz.
is very buzz. I dig it.
Awesome.
I dig it.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out who else commenting. So if you're watching and you want an opportunity to win, I'm going to bring this up real quick. We got some Marshwear. We have some AFCO shirt here. So you can check that out as well. We're going to be giving that away. We got several stickers. So we have AFCO. I'm just got product everywhere. AFCO stickers. We got Judson Brock stickers.
Ooh,
We
lucky
just got
dog.
stickers everywhere. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to put the camera on you guys, and let's start talking about redfish. We're going to be talking about sight fishing for redfish.
All right. So my first question, I got a nice little list of questions here to run through with Jason. But I wanted to ask him, and I'll share as well, but how did you get into fishing? Let's hear your backstory. Where did it all start?
Hey, loosen up our ties a little bit.
Yeah, just get comfortable there.
We've got some lights in here, and it is very warm.
I don't know. I've been fishing my whole life pretty much. My dad got me into it, and I started off bass fishing with him. Not really competitively, just kind of for fun on the weekends. And maybe I fished a few tournaments with him growing up. But I moved to Wilmington. Reveal my age here a little bit, but I moved to Wilmington in 94, 95-ish, and started off fishing offshore and kind of transitioned as gas prices and everything went up in the 2000s. You know, I was fishing inshore, but mostly offshore, and I had a bigger boat and sold that boat, condensed down into one inshore boat, and it kind of has all been a wrap since then. I've just kind of stayed inshore fishing since then. I missed the opportunities to go offshore and do guided trips off the beach, but man, I never look back. Inshore fishery is, I mean, it can be so good and so consistent throughout the year. You know, the offshore guys, it's feast or famine for them. You know, you get the spring, summer, and fall, and then, you know, wintertime, it's a 60-mile run or bust unless you want to go out and catch sea bass. So I don't regret it at all, getting rid of, you know, the temptations of going offshore. I definitely love the inshore fishery just as much as I love offshore. Not that I don't like to go out there. But.
No, definitely. The inshore, so it's a goofy word, but I always say intimate. It's like that shallow water and you know, being back in the marsh is a cool way to fish. I definitely have gotten that addiction as well. That's kind of, I started fishing with my dad when I was a kid around Topsail Beach, and just kind of the same story. We used to go offshore or when I was a kid as well, but as soon as I started inshore fishing around high school, it was really hard to go back and focus on the offshore thing. I just wanted to learn everything I could about redfish, and so that's kind of where I came from as well. Well, what's the best redfish story you've got? Biggest redfish.
We're just going to start
most
this out with some
insane
value of the biggest redfish, best story. I love it, man. I love starting
It doesn't
out
even have to
big.
be the biggest. Just like when I say the most memorable day of red fishing.
I don't know. I mean, what compares to Pamlico when you first, you know?
That's true.
I want to say some inappropriate things, but you know, what's better than going to Oriental and catching, you know, 30, 40 to 50 pound class drum on top water, popping corks, you know.
It's hard to beat. And definitely doing it. Everyone talks about Louisiana, but being able to go do that in North Carolina here. And bigger fish, you know, the size class is bigger right off the bat. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing a school of 40-pound reds cruising down a shoal in the News River.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a question for you real quick that's coming in.
Yeah, let's hear
Judson,
it.
this is for you. William Barber says NC or Louisiana for inshore drum.
Oh, man, that is a tough question.
You better answer this right, or I'm going to have to find a new co-host.
North Carolina for sure. No, I love North Carolina. That's where my heart is for sure. There's some insane sight fishing in Louisiana for sure, and I love that place. I've spent a lot of time down there. But a good day of sight fishing in North Carolina, I mean, it's just home. I love it here. So that's my answer.
All right, that's fair enough. So if you guys are watching, if you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, if you want to ask questions, do that through the broadcast, and we'll get to them as we can. We may not get to them immediately, but because we're struggling to do we answer or ask questions as we go through the broadcast, or do we wait till the end or whatever. But feel free to ask them if you have any questions or comments or whatever. And do us a favor, if you haven't already, share this broadcast, man. We want to get this out to as many people as we can. A lot of people are looking to figure out how to fish in North Carolina. I was new to the area 4 years ago, and so I'm always looking for information, always looking to talk to captains and learn how to fish, and bothering everyone at the tackle shop. And so it's nice to get an answer besides Gold Berkeley baits, go walk at the pier, so just super excited about
North end of Wrightsville Beach.
yeah, Wrightsville Beach. You know what? Whatever. That's where I'm at, and that's where I love, and that's what I got to do, man. So I'm gonna definitely be asking surf fishing questions. So I hope you guys are prepared. So anyway, man, let's
ready.
get right back into it and start. I know we got some questions. If you guys have some questions, Ken, here we'll start with this question: what time of year is good for redfish at Oriental? Anybody have an answer for that?
August, right?
Yeah, that's going to be late July, August, first half of September. It's usually prime time for Oriental. Bottom fishing, deep water, shallow water, fishing the shoals, popping corks, fishing deep water, chunk bait. August, September is probably my favorite time of year to be up there fishing.
Definitely. And I would say, yeah, look for the bait. Where's the bait? And you can catch those fish in all different depths up there. But yeah, I would say August, September is where it's at.
So August, September, and looking for the bait. So when I'm looking for the bait,
You're looking
what am I
for,
looking for?
That's how
That's
I've
a good
always fished
question.
up there too. Just tried to be in areas with lots of menhaden. So
Okay. Yeah, so lots
especially
of
popping
lots of
cork
bait.
fishing, I've done well around the schools of menhaden there. So
All right, cool. Good answer. All right, so let's we'll just keep rolling, man. So speaking of sight fishing for redfish, when you're looking for those fish, and Judson, I know that you and I'm going to bring all of us on camera here. Sorry, I'm struggling once again to run this thing, ask questions, do all that. So
you're doing great.
Let me.
Oh, there's me.
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to go.
Oh,
That is
there's
not
you.
Judson Brock. Oh, gosh, look at me. I'm going everywhere. Maybe I should just quit now. Here we go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to my main camera, fix it, and then bring these guys on. Perfect.
There we go.
How about that?
There we go.
There we go. And I'm going to get this lower third off. So talking about sight fishing for red drum, I know when you and I went, you took my father-in-law and I, and we were fly fishing and we were looking. But where do you start? I feel like there's this just big marsh out there. And I'm on my boat, maybe a John boat, maybe I got a nice boat, maybe whatever, maybe I got a nice flat boats, but I might have all the right equipment, but what am I looking for? Where am I going? Am I going
Like
to
GPS coordinates?
GPS coordinates would be great.
Those are good.
That would be good. So if you guys
That's
can
a good start. Yeah,
publish those.
Scribble some down. We're
Just
drawing
scribble
maps.
that.
We're drawing maps.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
draw
like
maps.
Map friendly.
I can't just go into the tackle store and be like, where's the school of red drum? And this is what you hear in the fishing community is like, go find the school, go find the school. Big question, how do you find the school?
Where's the school at, Jason?
Justin wants to shoot himself in the foot. Not just one foot, but both feet. I want to do the same. No, it's Judson's got a shallow water boat. I got a shallow water boat. So we keen in, and I guess what you and I do, and what a lot of other local guys do in this industry is looking for that shallow bottom habitat. Fishing water 3 feet or less. And just trying to find key areas that will hold fish consistently either throughout the year or during a specific time of year after year.
Definitely.
So
They're creatures of habit for sure.
Yeah,
Like you're going to find them in the same zones at the same time of year. You can almost, if you keep a good journal and you find fish, you could go back and be like, all right, this date last year they moved in when the water temperature was like this. And you can almost get it to the week a lot of times when you'll see fish in certain areas. And redfish are in different areas. They act differently. But like I said, they're definitely creatures of habit. And we focus, like Jason was saying, on sight fishing, which I feel like is awesome, but sometimes can be the downfall too, because there's days where the fish, a lot of the fish will end up being in deeper water, and finding them in shallower water can be tough. But what are some of the things you look for if you're going to a new area? What are you looking for habitat wise to find fish?
Yeah,
the
good
first thing I
question.
do is play the tide. So the tide's not in my favor. I can rule out certain places I want to go just based on the tide without even putting the boat in the water to go look at certain areas. If I look at my watch or if I look at the tide chart and it tells me I'm in a low tide and where I want to go is a high tide, and I know I've got to go look somewhere else. So everything is kind of tide dependent, but I don't know, a lot of grass has started to move into southeastern North Carolina over the past 15, 20 years. There's a lot of submerged aquatic vegetation that's now, it's come down the waterway from Carteret County. There's a lot of it Pamlico Sound, a lot of it Core Sound, and Bogue Sound especially. But that's, that grass has started to migrate down into parts of New Hanover County. You see some in Figure 8 now, and lots of Surf Cities covered in eelgrass and to me, that's prime habitat for redfish, and even better because those are areas that you can usually go to, and it's going to have clean water. You find those grass flats along the waterway. People don't think of fishing the flats off the waterway, but that's again, shooting ourselves in the foot here. But those are great places.
Yeah, you don't have to share too much.
Those are great places to look for, sight cast for redfish.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just because that grass breaks down the sediment in the water and creates that visibility area that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And again, I'm fishing that 3 foot or less contour, so yeah, I want to see fish. I don't want to go make 10,000 casts and.
Right.
So that's a part of your strategy on a daily basis. If you're by yourself, if you're with a client, if you're fishing a tournament, is that?
No, I mean if I know where a school of fish are, I'm probably going to go to that school of fish to get my fix for the day.
No, but I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is you are trying to, really. What I'm trying to say here, I lost my question, but I guess you're looking for fish. You want to see the actual fish, so that's a part of your strategy is to actually get eyes on the fish and not just go cast in deep water. Is that what you're saying?
See some semblance of a fish in the water, whether it be shadows or wakes or.
So, dude, let's talk about shadows, for instance, because I know when you're, and this might sound like a dumb question. Once again, this is my part of the show is to be like the novice idiot. So for people watching, if you're like, man, this guy's asking dumb questions because I suck at fishing, and I want to learn, and that's part of the beauty of doing Eastern Current is to learn. And so
hopefully we can all learn something.
Yeah, so hopefully so. But so when we're talking about shadows, sometimes especially I know in bass fishing. So you said you grew up bass fishing, and I've done a little bit of bass fishing and some fishing in the mountains, and sometimes you'll be like casting at this dark spot and you're like, oh, this is going to be a fish. But I guess I learned through my life of and been told by people who sight fish a lot is, hey, you got to look for movement and you got to look for a shadow underneath the item that you're looking at. So if you're see my hand here, if this fish is doing this, I'm looking for that shadow.
Sure.
And typically if it's not, maybe it's a piece of wood or a rock or something.
Right.
Because I've cast at some rock before. I'm just gonna be honest.
It's
I know I know the pros haven't, but when's this fish eating?
Oh, I've casted at plenty of dark spots and stingrays.
And stingrays. Oh, perfect. Man, look at that flounder.
Well, they look like a redfish, man. The color.
Perfect.
Yeah, they definitely can trick you if you don't have a trained eye to see that white skin come up. You think it's a belly roll.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay. So all right, that makes sense.
But I always tell people that have my boat, it's like the more fish you see in the water, the more you're going to end up seeing. It's definitely something you train your eye to pick up on.
Exactly. It's just like anything, just repetition. You see, you count money your whole life. You know what money feels like in your hand without even looking at it. So It's kind of the same thing with scouting after redfish.
A lot of times it's not the full fish you see either. It's like you see a little movement of the tail or you see a shadow sliding like Billy's talking about. But yeah, and go back to the eelgrass that you're talking about too. I feel like here I get so focused sometimes on looking against the bank, because if there's not areas with eelgrass that's holding bait in areas off the bank, a lot of times the fish are going to be up near the edge, especially when you're fishing like some of the coastal rivers and the fish are really dialed in on the shrimp that are, on the edges of the mud flats when the water's out of the grass. But yeah, that's something that's real cool and something that I really learned to do well when I went to Louisiana is start looking. Don't just focus on the bank, but look out off the edges and other areas that are going to hold fish. So, but yeah, that eelgrass is definitely showing up in a lot more places. I've been noticing it. So,
man, you can't hold your mic up. I'm just getting some people saying they can barely hear you there. So, just want
Told you I needed to hang.
I know, man. He was trying to convince us to hang it up there. So
there we go. That's
sorry to interrupt you guys, but
no, you're good.
Continue on.
Let's see what the next question is. All right. So when did you start tournament fishing? Just real quick.
I guess my first tournament red fishing was in 2012. A friend of mine who I met through another mutual friend had bought an East Cape Vantage, and man, it got me really jazzed up on shallow water sight fishing for reds. So it's not been that too long ago that I really put the hammer down on competitive red fishing here in North Carolina and elsewhere, but made maybe a year or two out of it with that guy, and then we parted ways. He got rid of his boat, and another good fisherman was a guy at the time. Got rid of his boat. I teamed up with another guy here from Wilmington. And then I guess in 2015, I teamed up with my current tournament partner, We just been balls to the wall since then. We fish together pretty well, similar personalities, and just kind of mesh on the water, on the boat. Just,
And who is that? Does he care if you mention his name, or is he like, is that the secret?
no, I don't. He's definitely not watching this. He hears enough of my smack. You know,
okay.
We don't want to hear it tonight.
Yeah, we should have brought both of you guys on and just let you go for it.
No, he's a great fisherman, another local guide.
Cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess about 7 years. To answer
About 7 years. Cool. It's addicting. I haven't done a ton of tournament fishing, but it's definitely it adds a whole new element to the whole game. So, and the other thing I was going to ask is, me and Jason, we've met each other a while back here in Wilmington, but I feel like we really got to know each other and started hanging out when you were down in Louisiana fishing some tournaments.
That's right.
That's when we kind of started to realize, hey, this guy's pretty cool. I like hanging out with Jason. Or probably what he was thinking about me. He probably thought I was some poser loser. But yeah, so Jason travels all over. He's down in Louisiana usually in the fall fishing some of the tournaments down there. And I remember, I don't know why I just thought about this, but we were one day way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, probably an hour and 15 minutes from the boat ramp, running across some random bay, no other boats out there at all.
This is Louisiana, mind you, not here.
Yeah, this is Louisiana, not North Carolina. And we see this boat just zipping across this big open bay. And as we got closer, I was like, oh, my gosh, that's Jason Dale in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana. We stopped and talked. And y'all ended up catching a bunch of big bull redfish.
Yeah, there was a lot of bulls in that bay. A lot of big jack, 20, 30-pound jack.
Oh, those are so fun.
20, 30-pound bulls.
We needed about one jack on the light tackle.
They were just steamrolling bait in that bay. It was pretty incredible.
That's awesome.
That place is magic.
It is magic. But all right, so we're gonna jump into talking about the sight fishing aspect. So we talked about what are you looking for, time of year. We kind of touched on that. You want to go into like different times of year, what you're kind of focusing on, kind of the transition of fish from the ocean to the marsh and back and forth.
So I should
again, you don't have to share too much, just enough for people to learn a little bit.
So I should have prefaced when I first come on that just what I say and do, it works for me. You know, I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but it works for me. And
keep in mind that people are watching and listening. He just did win one of the best tournaments, arguably the best tournaments in North Carolina for redfish. So I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy.
No, but I mean, really, it's everyone has their style, their way of doing things, and I'm not here to say that's right or wrong. Just what I do, again, works for me, and it's worked out well past couple of years in our travels, again, through North Carolina, South Carolina, and so on. What's your question?
I don't. Transition, like what the fish do different times.
Transition.
How you target them.
I got off tangent. So you could definitely tell in the summertime fish seem to be more scattered.
Yeah.
Not so much condensed into bigger, tighter schools that you see in the wintertime. So I feel like there is a difference in approach between spring, summer, fall, winter. I mean, there's definitely different patterns that fish go into that, you have to adjust to and move in a different direction. You can't just go out and cover tons of ground, looking for one. Well, you can, but I don't go out and target areas and just make 1,000 blind casts in the wintertime, because I know more than likely the fish are going to be hunkered up together in one big school in one area. Now they may move within that area, but as far as seeing single fish or double fish or 3 or 4 or 5 fish, usually what I found is that they'll be in higher concentrations in the wintertime.
For sure.
And then in the summertime, then you'll see the 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, little small pods of fish. So yeah, the habitat, I think they stay in year round, but just a matter of, finding either that mother load of fish or chasing after 1, 2, or 3 fish.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed too, I feel like in the winter, in the colder months, which is we're not in that right now, but I feel like those big groups of fish like to be in areas where they have easy access to deeper water. They want to stay in that big group, and if there's somewhere that's going to shallow out real bad, a lot of times they'll. And there's some schools of fish definitely break that theory, but in a lot of the areas around here that I fish, they want to have somewhere that they can all slide in and stay together. It doesn't have to be super deep, but they just want a little bit more water, so they're not all super shallow during those colder months. And yeah, in the summertime, it feels like you're saying, they definitely break up and get in little smaller packs and whatnot. What's your favorite time of year to fish for redfish?
I like summer just because I'm a topwater kind of guy.
Topwater kind of guy. So you're saying you like watching the fish come up and like blow up your topwater?
No, not really.
Yeah, I figured you didn't.
No, that's boring.
I like soft plastic Carolina rigs, cut bait.
There you go.
Cut crab.
There you go.
I'm mine.
What I wish all my clients would fish.
Right.
Jason just rolls out to the jetty and soaks bait all day.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I can't say as I've ever done that. Maybe 1 or 2 times.
I like the summer too, man. It's really fun to go throw into a big school of redfish and get whacked, but something about like seeing a fish, a single fish or 2 fish, but really just a single fish, and having to make that cast and the exact presentation that the fish wants. I think it's more rewarding, and I would say I enjoy that more. Not that that's the best way to catch them, but I like the challenge of fishing to a single fish or a pair of fish.
And on your end of it, you're more fly driven, so that even makes it even more rewarding. When you can present a fly to a fish and have that fish take a fly versus a topwater plug or a soft plastic or whatever. But I can see how
that's
that
fun.
would be.
That's super fun.
Yeah, super rewarding.
Let's see here. You got any questions, Billy, coming in on there?
Oh yeah, man. We got somebody's asking you what brand is your shirt. Really?
It is Marshwear.
Yeah, Marshwear. It is Marshwear. Let's see. Hold on. I got a couple more questions here. We took care of the mic issue. This is a pretty funny question, man, because I hear a lot of local guys talking about this, like local fish versus, like I guess I hear people like, oh, these are local fish or residential fish versus like migrating fish or whatever. They're just asking, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, like why is that? Like why are some fish local? Why are some fish tourist? I guess maybe that's what we'll call them.
Resident
fish?
Yeah.
Resident fish.
Pet fish.
Non-resident fish.
Nobody has an answer. I'll tell you why.
I got an
they
answer.
wanted it. Oh, you do have an answer.
No, you got it. You got it. No, you got it.
Perfect.
Let's hear what you
go
got.
ahead, Jason. Tell us.
I mean, just again, going back to our conversation, when you look at our fishery, where you've got majority of bull reds spawning in Neuse River, Pamlico, Albemarle, in the fall time, and then we get a big push late fall, and then the next spring coming down here. So, most of the fish that we see that are slot size fish are 2 to 3 year fish. So anything that you see that's slot here is going to be 2 to 3 years old. So the theory with, at least through marine fisheries, is that once those fish reach a certain length, that those fish tend to separate from that school that they're in, the lower slot fish, and they tend to move off the beach. And then that's where they become more migratory as far as moving offshore instead of moving, they move in and out instead of up and down the coast.
Oh, gotcha.
At least that's kind of what some of the science that has been relayed to me supports. I think we get a lot of our fishery from Pamlico Sound and from the Neuse River, its tributaries, and it moves down again as we go into fall, transition into winter. Granted, we have our resident fish that stay here year round, but as far as having migratory patterns, I definitely see it moving more north to south. Because Virginia is really about the northern extent of where red drums reside. So everything is generally from North Carolina, from Pamlico south.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's see what other questions we have here. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through. So when fishing tailing reds, do y'all prefer braid with a fluoro leader, pound of braid, mono in the grass? Like, what do you prefer there?
I usually go a little bit heavier on the leader. Mono, fluoro, it doesn't really matter in the grass because there's so much to break that leader up. They're not seeing it. But there's not really oysters or anything in the grass, but a lot of times you'll get dead grass floating on top of those flats during a flood tide. And so that fish will take off and your line will pick up a ton of grass on the way. And so having a heavier leader, I think, definitely helps. And I'm usually going with like probably 30 pound, 25, 30 pound in the grass. It's not super heavy, but it'll hold up to some grass getting on the line. And everything I fish is braid for the most part, braid on spinning rods, and then on fly, it's different. But even on the fly rod, I don't even tie a tapered leader. I'll usually just tie a straight piece of 30 on there with about 6 feet. You don't really need that long of a leader in the grass for the same reason. There's so much to break up your fly line and the leader that it's not quite as important to have really small diameter leader. But
okay, cool,
yeah.
Fair enough. Jason, you have some thoughts on that as well?
I exclusively braid. I use Finn's braid. Been using it for years. I use a particular type, this 40G that they make. It's pretty slick, real small diameter. I do have some wind tamer also that I use, but it's all braid. I always use leader, just if nothing else for peace of mind. Murky water, you probably don't need leader. Being the thin diameter of the braid probably doesn't make that much of a difference. But again, to me, it's just peace of mind. I have confidence in that braid. I have confidence in that leader, and I stick with it.
yeah,
And I use anywhere from 12 to 20 pound braid and 15 to 25 pound leader. Just kind of depends on what I'm doing. But I hardly ever use monofilament on anything except maybe some offshore rods.
Okay, cool. Good question there. I believe that's caught up on the questions. So if you guys that are watching, tuning in with us, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will get to them as I moderate and switch and do all that other fun stuff.
you're doing great.
Yeah, man. Thanks, dude. We actually brought in a monitor here, so these guys can actually see the switch.
Hi, Mom.
Dude,
Hey,
did
Judy.
you send your mom the link? I know she was like wanting to watch. She said.
I sent my wife and kids the link, and I'm pretty sure they.
They sent it. They sent it. Absolutely. So.
My mom's probably our biggest fan, so that's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, dude, your mom is a huge fan.
She's a huge fan.
I don't
yeah.
know if my mom knows I'm doing the show or not. I think I told her, but she's like, she didn't know what redfish are. So
This is gonna have to be a thing. She's had a shout out on both shows. I think we're gonna have to bring up Judy.
We're
on
gonna
every
have to
show.
bring her in, dude. She's the show mom.
I was
Like
telling him
the-
last week that she's caught some massive flounder off her dock at Topsail. So maybe we should bring her on to talk about some flounder fishing.
Yeah, I know
techniques.
where her
dock
dock-
flounder.
I
Yeah,
know
you
where her
do.
dock
You
is.
do know where it is. Where that big boat used to be, just north of it. There's like a big blown out hole in there, and there's always a lot of fish in there. Sorry, Mom. All right, so that's a good segment.
There's gonna be 10 people at your dock.
There's a lot of people in there. There's also an old bulkhead that's fallen in the water, and so there's a lot of structure in there. It's a good spot.
That's awesome, man.
But I think that's a good segue into we're about to talk about tackle. That was kind of the next thing we wanted to jump into, talking about the line and braided line, fluoro, mono, all that stuff. So we'll start out with, I think we already answered this question, but your favorite piece of tackle, bait, the fish for redfish, and that is probably going to be
Again, top water in summertime, hands down. I also like to throw a spoon and a spinner bait, but I don't know. I usually have at least one of everything tied on: soft plastic, spoon, spinner bait, and a top water.
How many rods do you take on your boat when you go?
As many as I can fit
As
on
many as
there.
you can fit on it.
Just because I
The
hate
bass fishing routes coming.
I hate retying.
Yeah.
So I mean, especially tournament fishing, you break a lure off and you don't want to retie, so you want to have a duplicate of everything you've got on the boat, whether it be a popping cork or soft plastic or whatever.
It's like Noah's Ark on your boat. To everything. You would do.
I like it.
I don't know about Noah's Ark, but there's one of everything on that boat for sure.
One of everything for sure.
I've
But
had some pretty interesting encounters. Spending the night in places, not being able to get back, and
That's yet to happen to me. I think probably just because I'm a little more responsible, but I'm just kidding. Definitely not more responsible. But I've never had to spend the night, but I've definitely been stuck pretty bad before.
Yeah, we learned a hard lesson in Georgetown a couple of years ago. Had to end up camping out at a spot till about 4:30 a.m. when the tide was right.
Were the bugs bad?
Bugs weren't too bad. It was cold. It was
gotcha.
38 degrees outside.
Oh gosh.
So
I'd almost rather deal with the cold than the bugs.
pretty miserable night, but we survived it.
So talking about tackle, so you say you like to fish top water, spoons, pop and cork. What's your if you see a fish? So like I don't do much unless it's groups of fish. I would say sight fishing with a topwater plug. Do you sight fish with a topwater plug a lot of times for just single fish or small groups?
Just if I'm covering an area, if I'm out, just looking at new water, or here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, wherever it might be, if I'm looking new water and I know that the season is right for topwater, I'll just put the trolling motor on and just start burning bank and just covering as much ground as I can cover. And that's where a spinnerbait spoon and a topwater are really effective, because you can cover so much ground looking for fish using those baits.
Yeah, quickly. And they've got a large presence in the water, too.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, again, summertime, I'm casting spoons, I'm casting topwater plugs. So those are probably my two go-to baits in the summertime.
All right, so if you've got one single fish like working down a bank, what's your go-to? What do you want to throw to that? If you could pick up any rod and throw it to it.
Probably the lightest soft plastic I've got that I can reach him with. Again, it's a trade-off, not knowing. But, I mean, really anything that if you can make the right presentation and not spook that fish, if you bring a topwater over his back, chances are he's going to blow up and eat it. I mean, he'll roll over on himself to get that bait if he wants it bad enough.
Definitely.
But I don't know. Again, going back to bass fishing, finesse to me is important. So if I do see a fish in shallow water, I'm approaching, I've got the trolling motor running. If he's close to me, I want to pick up something pretty light that I can present to him without a whole lot of interruption to his whatever he's doing feeding cycle.
Sense.
So I'll throw a shrimp pattern or some kind of small swim mullet. Something like that.
For sure.
Now,
I'd say.
Are you like leading? And here's the question. I know when we went fly fishing, there was like a little bit of strategy to it. So say you come up on a fish or a school of fish. Are you leading with that bait? Or are you like casting over them and bringing it to them? Like, what's the presentation in that way?
Yeah, I really don't like to land in the middle of a school of fish if there's a school present, just
because I feel like bass fishing is like, okay, I'll just throw it at them and they'll still eat it. I don't know. That's my experience, but
I mean, they're definitely different from a bass in that regard. You just run the risk of putting those fish on high alert if you throw a bomb in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Instead of just picking fish off the perimeter of the school.
Okay, so you're actually like, I'm going to gear toward this fish. I'm going to target this particular fish off of that. Like the herd, essentially. You're going.
The less they can know you're there, the more fish you're going to catch out of that school.
All right. And so you pick one up, pick them off the edges, and then just keep working your way.
Yeah, if it's a group.
Mm-hmm. And if depending on which direction they're moving. So you always want to be in front of them, not cast behind them. Even though you're casting, around the edge of the school, you want to get in front of their face.
Okay. I always tell people too, it's like you want to get it ahead of them on their path. You want to look at where that fish is going, but you also want to cross their path too. Right. I'd say. Like a lot of times you'll get somebody that lands it. The fish is swimming like this, and they already landed a little bit to the right of the fish, and your first 2 or 3 bumps are bringing it away from the fish instead of sweeping it across their face. So I think getting that sweep across the fish's face definitely triggers the bite. And the other big thing that I always try to tell people is like you want those fish to feel like they found whatever you're throwing to them. You don't want to feel like it's getting forced on them. So depending upon what kind of lead you have to do for that or how you got to cast it, but usually you get a much better chance of getting bit if they feel like, oh, I just found this shrimp on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes this mullet on the surface. So.
And you probably see that and are more in tune with that than majority of other fishermen, just because again you're presenting a fly to those fish instead of a 1/4 ounce weight or a spoon or.
It's crazy how a little tiny fly, coming at them can spook them. Even if it's a nice soft presentation, it's like they're so unused to a shrimp swimming at their face. They want to, you want to have some sort of retreat to it or just directly across their path. But some fish will eat it coming at them. But a lot of times I see fish spook from it. I feel like.
Cool. Yeah, man. Good answer. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I know that's like maybe a weird question, but I'm curious as to like, okay, how do I present? Because like I said, I'm used to fly fishing. Not that good of a fly fisherman, just get lucky sometimes. So I feel like in bass, I feel like I could hit a bass and he'd still like bite it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's why you got to see right on top of bass jigging straight up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With a redfish.
Yeah, so with the redfish, it's like they might be aggressive.
25 foot of water.
So they like to be aggressive, but they don't like you to be aggressive. Makes sense.
Right.
All right. Cool.
All right. So we'll jump into like rods and reels. So Jason actually builds. I was about to say builds reels, but you don't build reels. That'd be a little more difficult to do than maybe not difficult, but a little more and maybe you needed some more machinery. But yeah, so let's talk about your rod and reel setups. What do you like to fish, and are you fishing like one standard weight rod for every bait, or you like to change it up? Tell us about that.
Man, I have learned so much about fishing rods since I started building fishing rods. It's like there's so much information that was lost to me, or maybe I just didn't pick up on when I was fishing before I started really being hands-on with rods and making rods.
And that's still rod. Oh wait, hold on.
Stillwater.
Still water rods,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. I see
Steel.
it right on your. I see it right on your hat, and I'm like looking at the paper, like misreading it, but I see it right there on your hat. So
No. Yeah, I haven't been building rods that long. I mean, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And another, one of my prior tournament partners, he kind of turned me on to it. And I never envisioned that it would, turn out quite like it's turned out. I initially started building just for me, just to have, fun. And then, kind of one thing led to another. And with the artistic component coming into it, it was like, now I'm not only creating fishing rods, but incorporating artwork into it, and it was like almost too much for me at the time.
Because the rods are like pieces of art. I mean,
But
they're cool.
I really enjoy it, and I got teamed up with a company called American Tackle, and I get a lot of my product from them. Probably 80% of my product comes from them, and I've got a good relationship with the guys there. I trust their product. I have a lot of faith in it. That's all I use hardly anymore.
okay,
I've got a few older rods that I use, but the blanks I get come from them. High quality blanks are all high modulus graphite. Even some what they call nanofine blanks, which I've started to build. But yeah, it's for me it's a 6'10" to 7'6" rod, depending on what I'm throwing. Again, going back to discovering what rod is intended for, what lure has kind of just opened all kinds of doors for me. So now I have lures, what I feel like, based on conversations with other rod builders who have 40 years of experience, that I'm putting the right lure on the right rod to maximize the efficiency of the rod and the lure. So to me, that was just that was pretty phenomenal, making that discovery. I mean, some kids 20 years old probably know it, but it just took me a while.
Yeah, it's okay. So hey, so my father-in-law's watching. He takes old fishing rods and fly rods, and he loves to rebuild them and all that stuff that that I have no idea. You guys could probably talk for hours about it. So if I don't show one of these rods on here, he's gonna punch me in the face.
Yeah, we need to show some.
So
let's more
show.
than one.
He
So,
brought 6 of these.
I did. I brought 6 rods in, and I've got a lure tied on each one that kind of matches what that rod blank was intended for.
I'm just gonna start handing you a couple here.
So
let me bring on just a big camera, wide camera here. So let's talk about it. And that's on my phone right there. So if you want to show up a close up shot or whatever, feel free to
just hold it up at the phone.
hold it up there.
So this is a 7.6 Bushido blank. Again, American Tackle product. 7.6 medium. It's like 8 to 15 pound test, but I can launch this top water with this rod. I create short butts on my rod just because I don't like long handles on them.
Yeah.
So most all the, for something that you're working and you're casting 500 to 1,000 times a day, you want something that's gonna be easier on your arm. With top water, most all the action's in your wrist anyway, so you don't want something that's gonna be either butt heavy or tip heavy. So that's why I like the shorter butt. This is probably my go-to top water rod. I could throw this all day long without any fatigue, really. And I'm talking about going from like 5:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m.
It's crazy how light those rods are.
Yeah.
Tell them about the handles and how you build those. Those are just too cool.
So all this is custom paint job. These are made from scratch. It comes as a polyurethane foam that I mill down. I put on an actual lathe and turn it to whatever.
That's awesome.
Whatever shape I want it. And if I'm gonna paint it, it's anywhere from a fiberglass sleeve to a carbon fiber sleeve. And if I want to put a certain pattern on it, I'll paint it. This one's painted. I think I've got one over there, Judson, that's got it might just be the carbon fiber sleeve, the gray and black one. So this is kind of, this was one I made when I first started, and it's just got the weave to it.
Hey, can you hold that up just a little higher? Yeah, there we go. You guys can see
Non-slick
that.
finish on it. This American Tackle reel seat. Again, a 610 rod. I've got this little this little gizmo on it. My friend in Hampstead makes these. Guy named Rob McElroy makes these little bugs, and these are pretty deadly for drum and for flounder. So for drum, I usually cut them down a little bit, put a little trailer on it. Kind of looks like a little crab pattern.
Yeah.
So kind of when the fish are spooky, he makes these in an 1/8 and a 1/4 ounce head. Got a little rattle on it.
Yeah.
So got a little
Super
rattle
subtle.
on it.
Got a little rattle on it.
So
Do you feel like you can feel way more with those?
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to cork.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one I can feel it dragging the bottom. I mean, again, that's same thing with that popping cork rod beside you. That's a real, that's a moderate action rod.
God, it's crazy how light those rods are.
This one
Yeah, those are beautiful.
I'm gonna have to be ordering some.
custom paint job.
Yeah, that's
again.
beautiful.
Popping cork rod, a lot of action in the tip of this rod.
Is that like a hand painted? Are you like hand painting that with like a paintbrush? Are you
Yeah,
dipping it?
yeah,
Man,
it's all painted. It's,
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, just multi layers of paint, and then it's a pretty intricate process. It's not
A
something
labor
I
of
can do
love.
yeah, for everybody viewing,
Not something I
mean,
can do overnight.
Yeah, for everybody viewing, I know you probably can't even see the detail in that, but man, just a beautiful work. That's awesome.
Now, do your
Lot of
rods
detail.
and reels and line, do they all have to match? Does that bug you if they don't? The colors don't go together.
No, not at all.
Good.
I'm not OCD like that.
What else you got over there?
I don't know what else I brought. I did bring a Matrix blank, the one with the blue wrapping on it. Yeah, that's probably my favorite rod that I've made to date.
Look at that handle too.
Yeah, I kind of went
that's
crazy
sweet.
with this. I built that handle for someone else.
There it
yeah,
is.
that's
It's
cool.
got a little redfish pattern on it. But
Well-
I built this for someone else, and I ended up having to make them another one, just because I like this one so much. This is a Matrix blank, though. This is a popping cork blank, but I've put a soft plastic on it just because of the action of the rod.
Uh-huh.
Probably my favorite rod that I've built to date, as far as the length of the handle, the grips, and just the action. God, I can't say enough good things about these blanks. A little bit more expensive to buy the Matrix blanks, but as opposed to like the standard graphite. But all in all, man, I've been very pleased with American
putting them
Tackle's
up.
products.
Oh, cool, man. And there's a couple more there. You want to show, tell a little bit more about those, or
I don't have
is
to.
it-
We've kind of
kind of got through the basics there?
covered a lot of it. Again, just going back to the, there's a reason that
That's a pretty one.
rods say they're,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
there's a reason there's a line weighting on it and also a lure rating.
Yeah.
And a lot of manufacturers now have even gone more defined and making rods for jigging rods or spin jigs, spinning baits for popping cork. So 20 years ago, I don't feel like they really had that technology to do that. But now, as more and more feedback comes in these companies, they can tell what rod is being used for that particular purpose,
Yeah.
that application. So, yeah,
Let's
pretty
see.
cool stuff.
Super cool stuff, man. I'm gonna have to honestly. I'm gonna be ordering some rods from you. I'm running low. I've got a lot of broken rods.
Just
in my
got an
garage
order,
right
man.
now.
So where can people go to look at those rods? You have a website,
I
Facebook?
don't have a website. Again, this thing started off so small. I was just going to do it for myself, so I never really got to the point where I created a website for it. So everything's just kind of run through the social media platform.
Yeah, cool.
And I just got some hats made, some T-shirts on the way. I don't want to run it as a sweatshop, and I don't want it as a full-time job. But it's
Yeah, something,
I'm enjoying
something
it now.
fun and something you can enjoy.
Rainy day
Exactly.
hobby.
and let
Exactly.
everybody
Hobby.
else enjoy it. Yeah, that's cool.
I don't
That's
really
awesome.
say it's a hobby because when you feel like you got to go out there every night just to kind of fulfill orders, it's not really a hobby anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
But
It started out as a hobby.
I still get to throw a couple of personal bills in from now and again. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And so reels. Let's talk about reels. I guess we just put all those up.
Yeah,
but
we
do you-
did anything from like a 2500 to I really don't even use a 4000. I mean, most of everything I use 2500, 3000 series reel
Yeah.
on inshore stuff. If I was out fishing, Louisiana, I might throw something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But for what we do here in North Carolina, I feel like this
Yeah.
is probably sufficient.
for sure. I'd say I think most of my reels are probably in that 3,000,
Yeah.
2,500 range as well.
Yeah.
Got some 4,000s that make their way on the boat sometimes just due to grabbing the wrong rods or breaking rods. I think I have about 9 broken rods in my garage right now that I've got to get fixed. So I'm getting low on my stock. I'm going to have to order some rods from you. But all right, let's jump into the next question. I guess we already kind of talked about casting and presentation, knowing how to move the bait, when to move the bait, letting the fish feel like they found the bait.
Tackle box breakdown.
Yeah, tackle box breakdown. Do you have any? You brought a bunch of tackle. You got anything you want to share? I know we've talked about top waters and all that, but
So my boat's in the shop right now, and I had a friend pick me up at the dock this past weekend to go fishing. And I kind of just threw this little bag in this boat, just a hodgepodge of soft plastics, couple of spoons, couple of top waters, couple little creature type baits, Procure bait scent. Use that stuff religiously. Mostly just jig heads, spoons, swim baits. Throw a lot of swim baits.
A lot of swim baits. So I know a lot of guys at Redfish, and I always go, man, what's your go-to color for a spoon? And everybody's always a gold spoon. Do you find that same success? I know, a weird question, but I just have.
Yeah, I mean gold, bronze. Johnson makes a couple of different spoons in a mullet pattern, and almost like a 808 color, which is orange, black, and gold. But they make a couple of spoons with that mullet pattern on that spoon. I find those to be pretty effective. I started off, back when I was doing offshore trips, just pulling for king mackerel. I had a commercial license, was commercial king mackerel fishing, and I was pulling nothing but silver spoons, and that's kind of how the name came to be. But as far as inshore for reds, it'd probably have to be a gold spoon, or
yeah,
kind of depends on the water clarity too and water conditions.
Okay, so clear water. Are you using darker baits in clear water and lighter baits in dark water, or
vice
versa? Vice versa. Yeah. So I guess it is same as I always get back to bass fishing because I'm like, all right, dark water, dark baits.
Exactly.
Same thing. All right, that's awesome, man. So I think we covered quite a bit of ground here. I know we've kind of moved. I'm going to go on this multicam here. I know we moved around quite a bit. We've talked about baits. We've talked about reels. We've talked about just different approaches, being silent, cutting off your trolling motor, getting into schools, picking them off the edges. If anybody's watching and you have, I think the comments on this thing are still working. Haven't seen any comments in a minute. But if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. We're getting right there at about an hour for the broadcast so far. And I want to just talk a little bit about your business. I love business, entrepreneur myself. So we talked a little bit about your rod company, Stillwater Rods. So if people want to connect with you, just connect with you on Facebook. So at Jason Dale, is that correct?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Instagram is at Captain J Dale.
Captain J Dale on Instagram.
And then just through email, silverspooncharters@gmail or stillwaterrods@gmail. Any way to contact me.
So if they want to book a trip with you, said your boat's in the. But do you have a boat right now? If somebody wants to book a trip
hopefully Jason Green at Greens Marine is going to do me right and have her released on Friday.
Have her ready on Friday. Cool.
Hopefully she has a clean bill of health on Friday.
And that's Silver Spoon Charters.
Correct.
And so so what kind of fishing do you do? Obviously inshore, red
that's
drum,
it. Shallow water.
Water inshore.
Specializing in light tackle, shallow water fishing for, our inshore species.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if I get on your boat, do I get to fish with one of your rods? Or
Absolutely.
I'm perfect. That was my next
as long
question.
as I know you're not a novice and you can actually cast, I'll put one in your
I guess
hand.
I'll bring my Walmart rod then. Well, man, I really appreciate you having you on the show. If there's anybody watching that has some more questions, Judson, if you can think of some more questions. I know last week we went to that hour and a half mark. And while you're thinking about those, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors that made this show possible. Once again, we're going to be giving away some AFCO stickers. Actually, this is going to be a whole package. So we got some Judd Brock stickers, AFCO stickers. We got koozie. We got a hat. We got shirts. We got a little bit of everything that we're going to give this whole package away. Some marshwear, man. We got a little bit of everything. So we're going to be giving that package away. If you right now, like I said, if you have any questions, you're talking about redfish, sight casting, any of those things. If I missed it, hopefully the comments are working. Like I said, I haven't seen any in a little bit, so that's kind of different. But hopefully they are. If not, maybe Jason, if you don't care, after the broadcast on your downtime when you're not building rods and taking people fishing, he might get on there and answer some questions for you.
Sure.
If we miss comments,
Sure,
can you look at the broadcast and see on your phone?
Let me check. I was going to bring up one other thing, talking about boats a little bit, and boat layout. Yeah, like Jason was saying earlier, we both fish. While I'm pulling this up, I'll talk about it. But shallow water style boats. Did you get the broadcast up? Any questions?
Yes, if you guys see any comments. The last comment I see was from Travis Overman. He just said it's been a slow summer so far for redfish.
Well, thanks, Will Walker.
But yeah, so bay boats versus skiffs. So me and Jason, we're in shallower skiffs and targeting that shallower water. A lot of guys have bay boats and they're fishing a little bit deeper water. Just because we're fishing in 1 foot to 3 feet of water doesn't mean there's not fish that you can catch with the same techniques in deeper water. So
fair.
and a lot of guys are getting out there on kayaks and paddle boards and stuff now, which is super cool and allows you to almost get in a whole nother section of shallower water. And especially in the summertime, I feel like we see the fish go a good bit shallower.
That's my next purchase, is one of those little jet drive kayak boats.
Oh, the little solo skiff things?
Not the solo skiffs, the one that you sit in that's got the joystick.
Like
jet
the
drive
with the jet drive in it?
Yeah, it's pretty
Those
insane.
things are awesome. I was talking to Luke Donay this morning, and he was talking. He's got a little canoe, project boat, and he was saying he wanted to build a little jet boat out of it. So,
Dude, speaking of Luke Donay, man, did you guys see that triple tail he got?
Yeah, that was a monster.
Yeah, it was a big trip.
Just shy of 13 pounds, I think he said. And
No way. Was it that big?
yeah,
Dude, it was
boga
big.
grips suck. Boga grips. I feel like mine's always off. So it could have been, who knows, 20 pounds. But he was telling me that the state record back in the 80s is 27 pounds, I think, in North Carolina.
Yeah, man, crazy.
Which is a monster. So, we talked about trolling motors and poling and all that?
No, I don't use a trolling motor.
You don't use a trolling motor?
Overrated.
No trolling
I feel like
motor,
I can maneuver a boat better with a push pole, and I get it on a trolling motor, and I'm just all over the place. But so I've heard the controversy about trolling motors. Like, if you're getting up on fish, do you slow your trolling motor down or cut it off, or do you try to keep it at the same frequency?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question. I feel like almost if you turn it off, then
they feel that change.
That wave and vibration in the water that's radiating to them, that they've within the past 5 seconds have come to kind of adjust to, when that gets stopped or interrupted, I feel like more often than not they sense that, and then it's like game over.
It's almost like it eases in, from a distance, and
exactly.
it doesn't bother them. But then that just abrupt stop,
Exactly.
even though it goes to no noise, kills them.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure. I've seen too with like a push pole, you'll have fish 40 feet away, and you nick an oyster shell, and they're spook. And those are usually heavier pressured fish, but we've got a lot of pressured fish around here, and so being sneaky is definitely important.
That's all we've got is pressured fish. Right?
You feel like you've got a spot that nobody else knows about, and then you roll around the corner, and Jason Dale's.
Oh man.
Jason knows about all of them.
We don't have to compete with one another. It's the fish are aware of our presence.
Definitely. No, it's great that everybody's getting out there, and it's just part of it. It makes you better
that's
angler,
right.
For sure.
That's right. I mean,
so man, once again, we talked a lot about boat fishing. What about the guys who don't have a boat? Do you guys do any surf fishing? Do you do any surf fishing, Jason, where you're just like
from a boat?
Well, yeah, you're from a boat. I get on the other side of the break.
No, I really don't surf fish very much. I know there's fish in the surf, but I don't. I'm not getting out of the boat to go target fish from land.
There's a lot to be done though, of surf fish around here, especially in the fall.
There's an art to that as well. I mean, like you just go out there and cast a rod. I mean, they're based on the tide again. You got those nearshore little. There's nearshore drops and cuts along the ocean front that you can't see at high tide and at low tide. Those fish may move from that cut up to that sandbar or vice versa. So, just like we know our inshore game, those surf fishermen, they know their game as well.
Yeah. So what would you say? Just go out there and just do it, right? Just go out there and
do it. And like Jason's saying, looking for those like areas that might be on like a negative low, a tide pool, like a deeper little slough, or looking for those rips where if you've got a slough and then you've got a break in the sandbar, like the second bar, to where that water's drawing through there, a fish can come in and out. Just looking for those deeper areas with kind of a secondary current off the beach can be a lot of times where those fish are. They want to have deeper water to sit in, not be right up in the surf zone. But sometimes you'll see them shallow, like up on the beach. But and there's fish out in the surf all summer to be caught, and I feel like it definitely gets good in the fall though when those fish start making the transition from the marsh.
Oh, they're rowdy out there right now too.
They're rowdy out there right now.
Yeah, they're hungry. I just again, I have no reason to go. I have no reason to go park the boat on the beach and walk over and go fish. I'd rather be back, trudging through the marsh. Trolling motor on low. Just.
Now, do you ever just stop?
You don't
the
love
boat?
foot fishing.
Yeah.
Foot fishing. Is what
No
we call
foot
it.
fishing.
No.
Now, do you guys ever stop the boat in the marsh, get out, and go wade around?
Oh yeah, I do that.
So do a little fair amount of that. All right, getting a little tougher spots or whatnot. So.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to get in that pluff mud though with the oysters.
Yeah.
On the sand it's great, but in the mud it can be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, over the wintertime I went with Daniel Fisher. You know Daniel Fisher.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey man, let's go see if we can find some early year flounder or whatever you call them, like residential flounder. That's what we were going after to go gig on.
Resi flounders.
Resi flounds. Resi fatties. And man, we went out there, dude, and I got sunk up to the hips. And he's a light dude. He's like really light compared to me.
Just
like
prancing along
he's just
the
like
top of the mud.
across the mud. I'm like, dude, I'm stuck. I'm gonna die. The tide's gonna come up. I'm gonna die.
It's like suction cups sometimes that'll hold you in there.
Dude, it was terrible. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to just like leave all my boots and everything in the mud because I gotta get out of here. I just gotta survive. I was like in survival mode. So definitely
more than a couple of pair of shoes and boots in the marsh because I couldn't get out.
Flip flops are not a good thing to wade in.
No, not at all.
Yeah, somebody needs to invent like some maybe
they got them.
Those snowshoes. Oh, they have.
Oh,
them?
you mean like a larger footprint to
I'm
walk
just talking
across
about-
the mud?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but snowshoes might work. They might work.
That might be my next business
There you
venture.
go.
Some mud shoes.
I like it.
I've got
I like
one to
it.
add to it. So my $1 million idea came to me this afternoon.
All right, if you guys are watching and you have any $1 million ideas, just leave them right here in the comments.
Yeah,
and I'll let you
for
know
sure.
what I think about them.
We'll get them started up for you and let you know how they're going.
Well, man, it's been fun. I've enjoyed. I don't know any other. I'm still looking for questions, man. I love when people interact and do some questions if they have any. As far as the broadcast, as far as comments or whatever. So, anything else you guys want to cover? Any last?
I mean, there was some comments that came in. I'm not sure if you saw them. Aaron Weinberg said, "Anything you look for in particular when exploring new water?"
Fish, redfish.
Just
I'm just
redfish.
kidding.
So you're looking for tails? You're just looking for big shadows, like when you're, I guess like.
I think he's probably talking about like, not necessarily
Like
the
structure-wise?
fish, but,
Yeah.
the structure and maybe like
Sure.
like you were saying the eel grass.
Every time I go in new water, I feel like I'm looking for a needle in a haystack. To be honest
Right.
with you, I mean that's what it feels like. Who knows? Just again, put the trolling motor down, cover as much ground as you can.
So it's work, man. I think a lot of times we want to watch a video like this or watch a YouTube, video and be like, oh, okay, well, that's all I have to do. I got to go out there. But really, it is like you're saying, it's work. It's get
it's
your boat,
work.
go out, explore, enjoy the environment, enjoy the culture, and go hunt, and then fish when you find
essentially
them.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
Things I like to see though, like I'd say oysters,
Yeah.
eelgrass,
Habitat.
and one thing I found, especially up around this way, is I feel like on a mid to high tide, those fish like dead ends. They like shallower dead ends, or they can get up into. And this isn't always like big schools of fish, but a lot of the fish I fish are in shallower dead ends where they can kind of back up. There might be like some flooded grass on like a normal high tide where they can kind of sit in the edge of that flooded grass at a high tide and not be out in the deeper water where they can be harassed by predators and whatnot. Shallow dead ends, oysters. I like little edges of flooded grass on the normal high tide. Eelgrass, like Jason was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, everything is so. I feel like just again for me, speaking from personal experience, I feel like everything is just so tied in together with the water temperature and structure and current and what time of year it is. I just anyone who's looking to get into fishing heavy, teenagers, young, any youth. Just start documenting what you see, when you see it, where you see it, what the conditions are. I mean, I took a journal for years when I started fishing, and all that started off offshore, and then kind of just transferred over when I began to inshore fish a little bit more heavily. And it doesn't take but a couple of cycles of seeing that happen when you're putting those pieces of the puzzle together, that you pick up on that, and that's the kind of thing where you can go back, like you said, year after year after year after year after year, and expect to get some results out of those particular areas.
Yeah, for sure. I would say too, I started keeping a journal not long ago, and I was blown away at the information that I had forgotten that I thought I would remember. I'll go into a spot and fish it and be like, oh crap, I forgot I've caught fish right in this little zone before, and I haven't been back in here in a year and a half. And so a journal is definitely important. Barometric pressure is big to kind of look at when you have fish activity. Even if you see fish, you're not able to get them to eat. Look at the barometric pressure. Look at where the wind's coming from. Look at the, is it a high pressure day? And keep all that. Keep the good notes as well as the bad notes, and be able to look back at it.
That's right. Someone else said thinking about getting a fish tattoo. Are you not seeing this, Billy?
I'm not seeing it, man. I'm not seeing it. I guess my software is.
So thinking about getting a fish tattoo. Judson, he wants to see your biggest and best fish tattoo, and have your tattoos help you land more fish.
Great question. Who asked that?
Max Stevens.
Oh, thank you, Max. Yes, I would say as soon as I started getting fish tattoos, I started catching more fish. Actually, I didn't even catch a fish until I got my first fish tattoo. But
oh yeah,
I think my best fish tattoo is this rainbow snook right here. You can only catch these in Madagascar, so rainbow snook. But yeah, Glenn, at Glenn's Tattoo here in Wilmington did that. He's a big fisherman as well, loves to fly fish. Really cool dude. Yeah, if you want a fish tattoo, he's your guy.
Glenn?
Yeah, Glenn's your guy.
Glenn.
That's awesome, man. Where's he at?
Tattoo? You've got tattoos. Do you have a fish one?
I got a shark tattoo. It's not necessarily fish related, but that's kind of my tattoo artist kind of had envisioned for me at the time, and
I like it.
He skipped town on me. It was supposed to be a whole sleeve, and he skipped town on me and moved back to his hometown in New York and opened up his own tattoo parlor. He was
all self-conscious on my tattoos.
he was way beyond his his abilities. He's a phenomenal tattoo artist.
That's awesome.
Josh Payne, he won Ink Master 2 years ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
You got he tattooed you here in town?
Yeah, when he used to work for Art Fuel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, man, I've heard a lot of good things about Art Fuel.
Yeah.
Dude, we're just putting everybody out there tonight.
Good Graces and Glenn's is where you want to go for tattoos.
Good Graces and Glenn. Is it called? What is it called?
Good Graces. Luke Worley, big fisherman as well, and then Glenn's Tattoo. Another big fisherman. We've got a lot of tattoo artists that love to fish here in town. So.
Max said thank you for showing your tattoo.
Yeah, for sure. I've got another fish tattoo, but I can't show you that one. So,
Luke Tippett says, Judson, what is the key to being consistent fishing competitively?
To me, I think it's just all about having fun, man. Being on the boat with someone you love and just having a good time.
Wait, were you shocked by that question?
I don't really competitive fish.
I'm just joking. He was directing it at me.
I would say
you seem so shocked. I'm like, okay, there's a backstory here, and I'm going to dig it out.
Let's hear it. What's the key?
Luck, man. I mean, God, you can't. I mean, I don't know.
No fun involved.
There was a lot of fun involved. A lot of stress involved too. A lot of omeprazole and a lot of Zantac and Rolaids and. No, I don't know. Key to consistency, I guess. Just I don't know. Just doing your homework. Going to areas that you feel like. Again, we found certain areas away from North Carolina that proved to be more productive than others, and it's finding that productive water, not dead water. But you find those things that I look for here at home and far away places, and then go there. You realize there's fish there, and you put a visual on them and leave them alone.
Yeah.
And then come back to them on tournament day.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're fishing a tournament, you don't need however many fish the bag limit set at. I mean,
right.
It's not catch as many as you can catch during a tournament. It's just catch two nicest fish as you can. Yeah. So if you can leave those fish alone and hope that they're there on tournament day, that's key to success, I guess. Just having a horseshoe up your butt.
I need to get that horseshoe from you.
I like that edited version. The horseshoe up your butt.
One question I wanted to ask you is how quickly, when you're going to new water and you're working through it and fishing, how quickly do you like to work through an area? Like, are you going to sit there and pick it apart for a long time? Are you looking for that aggressive fish,
No.
and then that's going to slow you down and start looking at the zone a little bit more?
Not really. I mean, we've gone to areas in some tournaments where we've sat for 8 hours in one spot, never moved the trolling motor, and never picked up the power pole. So just knowing that those fish were going to come by us at some point in the tide cycle, instead of going to look for them, putting them on the edge, they're going to end up coming to you. So, just sit and wait it out. And, I mean, we've had days where we've done that and caught 30, 40 fish.
Yeah.
Just sitting there waiting on them. But most of the time, I mean, we're pretty aggressive in our approach, especially tournament fishing because, I mean, every minute counts.
Definitely.
And you want to be, that's happened to us last tournament. I got pretty impatient in one of the areas we went to, and we picked up and went to 2 other places. And it just, that scramble mode that's not something,
It's not
a place I like to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all the anxiety is derived from. So
Goes as fast as yours to catch redfish?
Oh, yeah, I need
You
one
do?
faster.
You need one faster.
Yeah, catch more fish the faster you go.
What's the top speed that you've hit on your boat?
When I first got it, it was 75, 76-ish.
Golly. Haven't you killed seagulls with your rods? Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, we have.
He's got rods that
taken
are
out a few
sticking
seagulls.
straight up on the front of his boat, and he's taking out some seagulls, which is
Yeah,
pretty funny.
unfortunately, that's not anything I want to brag about, but that's
Well, it just shows
it's
how
definitely
fast the boat is.
yeah,
They
it
have no clue
definitely
that
has happened before.
he's not chasing seagulls down. They just they happen to fly by.
I think we had a little bit of interruption there in our signal, but we're back now. So no,
We're
I
back.
don't know if they got the seagull.
Yeah, we'll leave the
massacre
seagull
or
part
not.
out.
Yeah.
We just left that
You
one
don't
out.
want any
So
negative PETA comments on here.
no, man, bring him on. I'm ready now. All right, man, that's awesome.
Let's see, what else have we got?
Dude, thank you for reading those comments. I'm gonna have to call and yell at my software provider.
I think your mom wants to know something about the moon tide, Judson.
About the flood tide?
Yeah, the moon tide.
Um,
Question mark.
Moon tide. Well, the tides are related to the moon cycle. And
Oh no, I feel like I'm in 3rd grade.
I can't share that on here, Mom. You know that.
This is top secret. This is top secret information.
I'll have to tell you that in person. We can go to dinner next week. Does that sound good? Just leave a comment in the comment
Just
section.
leave a comment. Mom, we're gonna go to dinner next week. Just leave a comment, please. Oh my goodness. Man,
Oh.
so any other questions on there that you see, Jason? Once again, I appreciate you moderating the comments.
No,
We're gonna have to bring Jason on full time.
I know,
Luke,
man. What are you doing?
I can moderate from outside the window as we've talked about.
I like that.
Full costume.
Get a little knock on the window and open it up and see who's there.
Yeah, and he's just moderating our Facebook comments out there. So cool, man. Well, I think we've had a pretty awesome show. Like it's been fun to learn more about like red fishing and sight fishing. And I'm just gonna keep adjusting this here. I'm gonna follow you
Sorry.
around. No worries. You're good, man. So is there any last thoughts that you guys can encourage people with as far as getting out there and red fishing, either sight fishing or anything? Like, what's your closing arguments for red fishing? I guess
Closing
that's it.
arguments.
Closing
You
arguments.
go first.
Take up golf.
Take up golf.
Take up golf.
I would just say don't get discouraged. I fish every day almost, and there's a lot of days I'm very frustrated. I don't catch fish every day, and it's definitely a tough fishery in North Carolina. It seems to be a little bit on a downward cycle as far as the amount of fish I'm seeing, and that could just be my skill level, which it probably is, or it could be there's less fish here, but just get out there and work hard and try new areas. And just because something worked one day doesn't mean it's going to work the next day. And allow instead of being frustrated about it, get out there and allow it to push you to become a better angler would be kind of my spiel, I guess. So
Absolutely. Good comment. Good response. Again, don't get discouraged. I've had days where I've spent days and days and days on the water without, just little to show for it, a couple of bites here and there. Looking in a new area. A lot of times I hit zero looking new areas.
Yeah.
So, it's nothing. I mean, it could get into your skin, go and spend a whole day, 10 hours looking in an area where you suspect fish to be, and there's nothing there, and come home with a big goose egg, but right back at it the next day.
Yeah.
I think that's why what makes us who we are is because we're so passionate about it.
yeah, it's
and-
like a sickness.
Yeah. and a big thing for me too is honoring the fish. I mean, so much to say about these live weigh tournaments. That especially on the Redfish series.
Yeah.
Just to me, that's a big thing. Making sure that fish is released alive and healthy, and that may be the next 50-pounder that's in the noose, that's spawning, putting out a million roe. So you never know. I try not to keep any more than I can eat. I'm not greedy when it comes to killing fish. I do a lot of catching and releasing.
Yeah,
I know you do too.
Yeah, me as well.
So again, if it if it weren't for my clients bringing fish home, just about every trip that I take would be catch and release.
Yeah,
and it's that's just me. That's who I am. Trying to create sustainability to our resources. Same thing with oysters or shrimp or whatever. I don't need to bring home a 65-quart cooler full of shrimp. I don't want shrimp in the freezer for 2 years. I might give it to some friends, but that's just not me. My parents raised me not to take any more than I can eat them. One meal or eat in one sitting. So
I like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair, man. Take care of the resource; it'll take care of you.
That's right.
So that's good. Awesome, guys. Well, great show. Once again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
being
me
on.
Yeah,
and you guys can check him out. It's Stillwater Rods. You can check out his rod company, and then also Silver Spoon Charters. So if you want to go on a charter trip, and then also Judson Brock sitting right here in front of me, co-host. Thanks again, man. Just awesome to be in your house. Always a cool spot to be. And Judson is a huge sponsor of the show. So Eastern. Gosh, help me out here, dude. I'm going
too many Easterns. Eastern angling.
Too many Easterns.
Thanks a lot, man.
Eastern angling. I just botched your thing there. Awesome,
and Muddy
man.
Fly Guide Service. I'm kind of transitioning from Muddy Fly to Eastern angling.
So you're in a little transition phase. Cool, man. Yeah, absolutely. And then as always, if you guys need T-shirts or hats or hoodies, I'm your guy. Just hit me up, man. If you guys don't have anything else, I guess we'll call it a day. And
gotta do our giveaway.
And we're gonna do our giveaway.
Yeah.
Man, I almost forgot. Let's see. I don't have comments. I don't have any comments. I can't choose randomly.
Let's do.
Let's
comment.
just pick. We're gonna pick randomly. So comment number. I don't know how many there are.
Can I see your phone real quick?
Yeah.
Just pick one random. Just scroll through there.
I'm just gonna scroll and put my finger on one.
This comments giveaway thing is becoming
way.
interesting.
Can you see the old ones?
No, I'm not sure why they disappeared.
They've frozen.
You guys want to know what happens when you give two fishermen Facebook on a phone?
We're
Nothing.
not fishing.
Nothing.
Should we just give it to the person that said me, Elijah Jones?
Elijah Jones.
Elijah Jones, because we're having
You're
technical
the winner.
difficulties.
We're having technical difficulties.
Way to jump in. When you needed to.
Way to win. You just won this Marshwear hat. Super cool. Super awesome. We're going to be giving away some more AFCO stuff next
Is that
week.
Elijah or Eli?
Elijah.
Elijah. Okay.
Elijah.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So we got some stickers for you. We got a shirt for you. Man, just thank you guys so much. We appreciate you watching the episode. A little different today. I know Judson had a long day. I had a long day, so we both kind of came in here a little scatterbrained. Just super tired. Had some new adventures start this week as well. But, man, overall, love the show. Thanks so much again.
Thanks for having me again, Billy and Judson.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, we'll have to think about that special episode where you hang your head in the door and
we'll
say
do
some
that.
stuff.
Hey, don't share too much.
Oh, yeah, I can't. Spoiler alert. So,
well, cool. Elijah, reach out to us and we'll get that stuff shipped out to you. Just send over your address. Did you already say this?
Nope.
Send over your address in the comments section. Actually, just send it to our account.
Don't comment it.
Your address, your phone number, your social security number. Just send it over to our Eastern Current account on Facebook, and we will get that stuff shipped out to you here in a jiffy.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well, once again, appreciate it. If you guys need any more fishing information, get in touch with Judson or get in touch with Jason. Do not get in touch with me because obviously you can tell on the show I'm the novice and I'm here to learn.
Novice.
Novice.
I'm just kidding.
I can't even say it. Who cares? Tomato, tomato.
I'm just messing with you.
We're in North Carolina.
And Billy knows a lot more than he gives himself credit to know.
No, I don't really. I'm like so learning everything, so it's really good. Cool, guys. Well, man, we appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. And what do we got going on next week? Who are we bringing on?
Next week, we are bringing on Dave and Ralph from Ice Strike Fishing down in South Carolina, and we're going to talk about the kind of the inshore fishing that they've got going on down there and some of the tackle that they've got in the works. So we're excited about that.
Yeah,
Be sure to tune in, and it's going to be a pretty cool giveaway as well. So.
Yeah, so we'll get all that promotional stuff put out there, and man, just a lot of people are like helping us promote. I mean, I've seen just a ton of people promoting the show and sharing the episodes after we're done. So episode 2, still learning a lot in the studio, still a lot of moving parts in here, but yeah, man. We're getting it. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out this comments thing too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's frustrating me because that's like my favorite part of the show. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at Eastern Current. We'll see you next week as we bring on Dave and Ralph from Ice Strike. It's going to be a phenomenal show, and we'll have all that promo stuff out soon. We'll talk to you later. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.